Hey everyone, it's Justin of the Fantasy Football Upside. I just finished recording with Kyle, my co-host, co-founder of the Fantasy Football Upside, and I was wired, so I wanted to do another mock draft for you. We're going to put that in the mock draft series playlist, so definitely check that out in the description below. And you know what? I'm just going to get right into it. So I'm on Fantasy Pros. That's what we use. That's what we recommend. We're doing 2020 season, of course. We're not doing Dynasty today. Standard scoring, snake draft. Number of teams, we're doing 12, and let's go ahead and randomize our draft selection. And fourth, I feel like we've had fourth a lot. In this one, we're doing I'm doing 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex with the wide receiver, running back, tight end, 1 defense, 1 kicker, and 6 bench spots. We have 16 total rounds. I'm going to draft against a little bit of everybody. I'm just going to click everything on here that Fantasy Pros has, experts, composite ADPs, everything. And I'm actually going to use my default cheat sheet, which is my own. I created it. That's why I love Fantasy Pros, so you can create your own cheat sheet. Let's say you like somebody else out there, you want to copy and paste some of their stuff, but you want to maneuver it here or there, you can definitely check that out. I think it's a premium feature. If you don't have freemium Fantasy Pros, do it now. And it's really cool. You can copy and paste all that list in there, and they do all the work for you, and then you can drag and drop, put notes in there. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and do the pick clock of 120 seconds. Can't do 90 seconds for some reason. I would love to do that because that's the typical, but we're going to keep it moving. We'll probably finish within there. So you know what? Let's go ahead and start this mock draft. Fourth pick. Let's see what we're going to do. It's going to be interesting. I'm not going to read all the names out as we go, but I do want to make sure that we know what we're doing here. So draft board, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. I'm surprised Ezekiel went ahead of Saquon. Let's go ahead and take a look at my rankings and also the suggestions right here in the middle. They're suggesting Michael Thomas, 70%, Derrick Henry, 16%, Alvin Kamara, 12%. But you know what? Dalvin Cook is still my number one pick here when it comes to what is on my draft board. And I think they're going to have the whole contract situation taken care of before the season starts because Minnesota Vikings are known to go ahead and pay their players before the season starts. And I think they want to have him in the training camp early, ready to go, because you just don't want that opportunity for any kind of injury risk because, yes, he kind of does come with some injury risk, but dang, Dalvin Cook is a solid player, solid RB1, and the guy just performs in a run-heavy offense. So even though it says 2%, I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to go off my draft board that's on the left. Dalvin Cook, come on down. I pull up the draft board so you guys kind of see as we go here. Gonna probably have to move it over for you. I got it zoomed in. My eyes aren't the greatest. So just moving on over, and you can kind of read them off. Not as many running backs go off the board as I would think. Kenny G went right before me, which kind of stings because I do love some Kenny Golladay. So let's look at the suggestions. I already have Dalvin Cook as my number one pick. And you know what? If you see me do any of these, you know I like to go running back. It's a preference of mine, but there's still a lot of running back value because if you look at my draft board under JW_the upside, hey, that happens to be my Twitter handle, so go ahead and follow me on there. I got Kenyon Drake as my number 19th overall pick, and number 20 on my overall board is Leonard Fournette, and we're in the 21st pick, so both of those would be good. As you see here, I like to see I can edit whenever it comes to my cheat sheet. I can put down a guy I want to target, a guy I want to avoid, injury risk, all the above. I have Kenyon Drake as a target. I think he's just slightly above Leonard Fournette because Kenyon Drake is going to get a lot of work as well. And I think the Arizona Cardinals like Kenyon Drake as much as the Jags hate Leonard Fournette for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kenyon Drake. And we're probably going to come around and choose a wide receiver. So let's take a look at the draft board. And, we had Kelsey and Kittle go off the board. Everybody knows if you've seen anything that I've done, I do like some George Kittle, but I just can't choose him in the second round. Fournette went to end. Todd Gurley, Austin Eckler, Allen Robinson. I really wanted Allen Robinson to fall to me here. But you know what? Let's look at our rankings and the suggestions. It has A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, and Adam Thielen as my top three choices here. But if you look at my draft board on the side, I actually have Adam Thielen as the 23rd best overall player in this draft. And yes, the Minnesota Vikings are a run-heavy offense. And yes, I have Dalvin Cook on my team. So yes, I have to pass. I just don't want to double team two players on the same team this early in the draft. I usually don't mind a running back wide receiver tandem on the same team, but I just don't want them to be that much on my roster this early. So it's really down to DJ Moore and AJ Brown. If you've checked out our pick or pass episode, that should be in the description below as well. We actually had this AJ Brown, or we had OBJ and DJ Moore pick, and I actually see AJ Brown is better than OBJ and DJ Moore. So I think AJ Brown is going to get that 70 to 80 catches he needs to be really relevant, and dang, he could finish as our wide receiver one. So let's have him as our wide receiver one. Almost threw you off there. I thought maybe I was going to choose Adam Thielen. Then I had to remember, hey, I already have Dalvin Cook on the team. So let's look at the draft board, see what happened. So, of course, DJ Moore went right after me. And, oh, boy, some running or quarterbacks go off the board. That's a little shocking. I just don't see that. Even though Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson are super talented, I just can't pick them this early. We had our third tight end go off the board, some more wide receivers, running backs. You can read. So let's look over at our roster. We have Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, A.J. Brown. And let's look at our rankings here. We have T.Y. Hilton, James Conner, Le'Veon Bell, Tyler Lockett, David Montgomery as our top kind of 5 choices here. And I like T.Y. this year. I really do. It doesn't look like fantasy pros like him as much as Tyler Lockett. And for me, I know T.Y. Hilton is the number 1 receiving option on the Colts. Tyler Lockett, it's kind of a 1A, 1B when it comes to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And because of that, I really think Phillip Rivers likes to go into one wide receiver. He likes to target them. I am a homer. Here's my Indianapolis Colts Tervis. Yes, I have some drinky drink in it right now. So truthfully, I'm going to go with T.Y. Hilton. I'd love to have him as my wide receiver too. Fantasy pros may not like him as much, me choosing him here, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with my homer pick. Oh boy, we may have a really good wide receiver 3 drop to us here. So let's go back to the draft board. And didn't have to wait too long. Tyler Lockett did go. That's one I was kind of debating between T.Y. and Tyler. But Devontae, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, and then those 2 other running backs that I don't want to see James Conner or Le'Veon Bell in my roster at any point, and I don't want to see him in your roster either. So let's go over to suggestions, and let's go over to on the left here. My draft board, I have David Montgomery and also DJ Chark. I do like David Montgomery, man. It would be really good to have David Montgomery in my flex spot right here. But DJ Chark, I think he's going to finish as a wide receiver too. So it's really going to be interchangeable to have T.Y. Hilton, DJ Chark, and A.J. Brown. I personally like to draft a lot of wide receiver 2s as my starting wide receivers. And I think all 3 of those are wide receiver 2s with potential for upside into wide receiver 1 category. So I'm going to go ahead and go with DJ Chark and really lock up my wide receiver room right off the bat. We got 2 running backs and then 3 wide receivers. So I think the roster is looking pretty good right now. And let's look at the draft board. So after the DJ Chark, we had David Montgomery come off the board, which is not shocking. Ooh, dang, I am so glad I went DJ Chark when it comes to wide receivers, because look at how kind of the well dries on startable wide receivers, and that's of course what I think, and that's pretty sure that's what Kyle thinks as well. Because we had Debo sighting really early, and that's way too early for me. Some running backs came off the board, some couple more quarterbacks. I do like Dak. I do like Kyler. I just can't pick them in the 5th or 6th round. That's why I didn't do it. So let's look at our suggestions here, and let's look at our options. Russell Wilson is an option here with our 6th round pick. Dang, I do like Russell Wilson, but I just still can't pick QB this early. You know what? We're at the tail end of the 6th round, so hey, let's count our blessings and see if Russell Wilson drops to the 7th round. Because if that's the case, it's really going to have me question if I want to choose a quarterback this early. But on my draft board, I actually have Kareem Hunt up there as my 52nd best running back, and that's because the guy is supremely talented. He also has the 5th best strength of schedule when it comes to running backs. And I think they're going to find ways for Cleveland Browns. They're going to find ways to have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on the field at the same time. And boy, did he really eat into Nick Chubb's work last year when he came back from suspension. So going to go off the draft board. Kareem Hunt in my flex. I like it. Let me take a drink. So it does look like, Russell Wilson went off the board at the very end of the 6th round, and that's not too shocking. A couple more wide receivers that I would probably avoid in the grand scheme of things. Marquise Brown, very much one of those high upside kind of sexy picks right now, but I just think you're going to have a lot of boom, but you're going to have a lot of bust as well. Brandon Cooks, I do like him this year. It's because I think he's the best option when it comes to the wide receiver room at the Texans, but it's still another toss-up between 4 total wide receivers in the Texas room. So let's look at our suggestions. Deshaun Watson, Jordan Howard, Ronald Jones, Marlon Mack. Looking over at my draft board on the left, I have Ronald Jones, Deshaun Watson, Marvin Jones. And I already have, 1, 2, 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers. I like to kind of keep them steady as we go. But I'm going to go right off of my draft board, and I really like Ronald Jones this year. He really improved from a very disappointing rookie year, and I think it's his backfield, really. Okay, Keyshawn Vaughn is there. They drafted in the 3rd round. Let's not forget Ronald Jones was a 2nd-round pick and came out of really highly regarded out of USC. And I think hashtag Twami is really going to want a veteran in there behind him that has improved in pass catching and has improved in pass blocking, and that's Ronald Jones. And I say veteran over rookie. Let's not forget Ronald Jones is actually 3 months younger than Keyshawn Vaughn. Let's do Ronald Jones, and let's see what kind of falls to us. So we're in the 8th round right now, 9th pick in the 8th round. Let's look at our draft board. We had Deshaun come off the board, Josh Allen come off the board, some more. We had some tight ends. Wow, Hayden Hurst. That I like Hayden Hurst this year, but I like to draft him in the 9th or 10th round. So this is like the earliest I've ever seen him go right now. Sony Michel, Keyshawn Vaughn, so the backup for Ronald Jones, in my opinion. So once again, that's how quickly the running back room kind of dries up, in my opinion. And I think we're pretty good on running backs for just a little bit. But you know what? I like to go off my rankings. I like to see what kind of falls to me. So let's see what we got on suggestions. We have Carson Wentz, Tyler Higbee, John Brown, Emmanuel Sanders. Look on my left here. We have Marlon Mack, Phillip Lindsay, Tyler Higbee, Kerryon Johnson, Damian Williams. Not really a murderer's row of talent right here. And I wonder if I want to push a guy up on my list or, let's just talk this out. Marlon Mack is kind of the 1A to Jonathan Taylor's 1B in this offense, at least for the start of the season, because I think that can change very quickly because how supremely talented Jonathan Taylor is. Phillip Lindsay, he's in a split backfield with Melvin Gordon, Tyler Higbee. I do like him as a tight end, but I think I might be able to pass on him right now and get him a little later. We got Carrion, we got Damian Williams, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, Jared Cook. I mean, I'm just going down a list here. It might be too early to pick Emmanuel Sanders, but I mean, he's my 98th best player in my opinion, and we're at the 93rd overall. I've been pushing Emmanuel Sanders up my list because I do really like him this year. He's another year removed from his Achilles injury, and he's a second wide receiver on a really pass-heavy offense. So I'm gonna put this in quotations, reach for Emmanuel Sanders, and I like to have him as my wide receiver 4, which is what I'm drafting him as. The guy has shown that he can be a more than better wide receiver 4 in his career. So let's look at the draft board. Carson Wentz went off the board. I'm a little saddened by that because I would have really liked to pick him in the 9th round. But let's go ahead and take a peek at what we have for suggestions and what we have on my draft board. We have Tyler Higbee, Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford, Jamison Crowder. Do I want to go ahead and lock up my tight end position in the 9th round and pick Tyler Higbee? I may want to. There's a lot of haters when it comes to Tyler Higbee out there, but it's one of those things where it can't be denied what he did last year. It was a smaller sample size, but I mean, they went to the 12 personnel for a reason. That was because the offensive line for the Rams was pretty detrimental down the road, and they didn't really improve that. And I think they're still going to run a lot of 12 personnel. And yes, Gerald Everett was a little banged up here and there, but I think they were on the same field at times. And Tyler Higbee was the one that was getting all the work. So let's go ahead and lock up our tight end position here. Look at the draft board. We have to wait a little while. So we're going to see what we're going to have on QB, because I would probably like to pick a QB or just, what's the best available here on the next, the 10th round pick here. Let's go Tyler Higbee. I was hoping for this to happen. So I probably could have looked up, and that's what's really cool about Fantasy Pros is on the draft board, you can kind of see they have color coded who has picked what position, everything like that. I was wondering if Drew Brees was going to still be here for me, and guess what? He is. So to recap a little bit, I'll scroll over here. You see some more wide receivers, some running backs come off the board. You have the San Francisco 49ers defense come off the board, first defense, and that's the 10th round. And I haven't mentioned defense because I won't mention defense until the last couple rounds. I usually go defense kicker or kicker defense and just kind of see how it falls, and we'll see when we get here. I like N'Keal Harry. I like him as one of my sleepers this year. I also like Anthony Miller as a sleeper, but those are still kind of early for me. 11th, 12th round. Let's take a flyer on those guys. But suggestion-wise, hey, guess what? On my roster, I still need a quarterback, and that 9th, 10th, 11th, you still have some really good value. And, Drew Brees' numbers came down a little bit. He's used yards per attempt came down a little bit. But I think with the better wide receiver 2 and Emmanuel Sanders, and I like to double up points here, and that's what I'm able to do. I'm going to go ahead with Drew Brees as my quarterback. And, I mean, once again, it's a pass-heavy offense. I don't think that is going to change at all. So I really don't need to look at quarterback because that's all I take. I take one quarterback and I stick with him. Drew Brees, he has shown he can perform in this league continuously in fantasy, so I can change flex positions here for us, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's look at the roster real quick. We got Drew Brees. For my running backs, I got Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones. For my wide receivers, A.J. Brown, T.Y. Hilton, DJ Chark, and Emmanuel Sanders. And my tight end, I have Tyler Higbee. Let's look at our rankings here. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, Jared Cook, still tight ends on the board. Don't need another one, just like quarterback. You take one and forget it. Henry Rhodes is my next position player that I would actually take when it comes to positions I want to take, and that's running back and wide receiver left. I like Henry Rhodes this year. Yes, he had a little incident when it comes to helping a friend move, but he should be fully recovered. And Henry Rhodes, he blows the top off the offense. He was the first wide receiver taken off the board in the real draft in 2019, and there's a reason for that. The guy is supremely talented. The guy is super fast. They're going to find ways. John Gruden is going to find ways for this guy to get targets, to get volume, and maybe throw some carries in there here or there. Let's go ahead and go with Henry Rhodes as a nice high upside wide receiver. Kind of a dartboard throw, but it's an educated dartboard. Take a drink here. Let's look at the draft board. Let's see what came off. I had a little bit of a wait here. So after Henry Ruggs, we had Brashard Perriman, another defense in the Patriots. Boston Scott came off the board. I was kind of hoping he would fall. I do like to take Boston Scott here towards the end of my drafts every chance I get, but I wanted to add another wide receiver, hence the Henry Ruggs pick. Deshaun Jackson is another guy I do like. Excuse me. Curtis Samuel, Chase Edmonds, Justin Jackson, Rashad Penny, Paris Campbell, they all came off the board. So some suggestions, and let's look at my pretty even right now, I think, when it comes to running backs and wide receivers. So it's kind of a toss-up to see kind of who I really want. And let's get rid of these three on the side here, the top three, Austin Hooper, Jared Cook, and Matthew Stafford. I'm not going to draft a tight end or QB right now. So my next three are Nyheim Hines, Damien Harris, and A.J. Dillon. I like Nyheim Hines. The Colts are going to try to find ways to get him the ball, but I don't want a second Colt on my team right now, and he's the third running back and maybe the fifth or sixth option in that offense. Damien Harris is a kind of a high upside, risky kind of pick, but we're in the 12th round. Sony Michel is always banged up. He's a first-round pick, but always banged up. And Damien Harris was a third-round pick last year. It's just one of those things where he was inactive a lot because he doesn't contribute on special teams. They don't want him to contribute on special teams because he's a supremely talented running back. And I want to take the high upside Damien Harris. They have the number 3 strength of schedule for running backs, and I'm worried about Sony Michel coming back from injury because he's always coming back from injury. Fantasy Bros thinks it's a slight reach. You know what? I get it. I just like to look at him as a pick here in the 12th round. Let's look at our draft board here. Let's see what came after. Nyheim Hines came off the board. Aaron. So in the 12th round, Aaron Rodgers finally came off the board. Jared Cook, Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton came off the board. Let's look at some suggestions here. They want me to pick another tight end. I get it. They want me to pick another tight end. I'm just not going to do that because you can really find value from 4 to 20, in my opinion. They're going to be kind of interchangeable for tight ends, and that means there's going to be players available on the waiver wire that are still going to be able to put up points that you're still going to be able to stream and put in your lineup if you have to. Let's say Tyler Higbee doesn't perform or he gets banged up or injured or whatever it is, you're still going to be able to find some value on the waiver wire in a Jared Cook, Noah Fant, Hayden Hurst sometimes is going undrafted. Or you could get kind of crazy and get a Gesicki or a Blake Jarwin. There's a lot of guys out there that can still get you value. So on my draft board, I have Austin Hooper, Matthew Stafford, A.J. Dillon. Those are my top 3 options. Once again, no tight end, no QB for me. I'm going to go right off the draft board and go ahead and click A.J. Dillon because, Jamal Williams has already lost his job, in my opinion. He lost his job as an RB2, and this is a run-heavy team that really played Jamal Williams a lot. So I think A.J. Dillon could have a lot of standalone value in this offense. So we're going into the 14th round, so I'm going to be looking to see what kind of value is on the wide receiver kind of range. I may have to go to let's just go to wide receiver on the suggestions. Got James Washington, Hunter Renfrow, D.D. Westbrook, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Look at the draft board real quick. Let's see what came off the board. Austin Hooper, Giovanni Bernard. I just mentioned Noah Fant. Antonio Gibson, I like him. Darrington Evans, I do like him as well. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr. If I didn't have Ty, I think Michael Pittman Jr. could have been my pick this last round. Joshua Kelly and Royce Freeman. I don't know if Royce Freeman makes the team. But, okay, 14th round. Wide receivers, what I said. Suggestions. Wide receiver James Washington, Hunter Renfrow are my top two options. I already have Henry Rhodes on my team, so it's not going to be something where I'm going to pick Hunter Renfrow, which I would probably like to do, truthfully. But D. Westbrook is another interesting option here. I think the guy got quite a few targets last year. And yeah, 101 back-to-back seasons, and I think that chemistry is still going to build. I think it's one of those things where you don't look at Jacksonville Jaguars; they don't get the media recognition because it's Jacksonville. And okay, can DJ Chark and D. Westbrook still perform in this offense? And I do have DJ Chark on my team, so man, I keep trying to want to double up on some of these guys, but it's a tough one. I don't like to double up in the same position, but I'm actually going to go ahead and go with Dede Westbrook. And we're in the 14th round. It adds a little bit of depth. You just never know what could happen. You know, if DJ Chark goes down, it's almost like a handcuff at wide receiver. And that would be okay with me. I mean, I don't want him to go down, of course, with injury or anything like that. So 15th round, look at the draft board. Not too much came off the board. I think that's our first kicker. Harrison Butker went off the board. We haven't, we had Buffalo Bills, LA Rams, some suggestions, and also let's pull up my rankings. Let's look at defense. I do like the Denver Broncos a lot this year. It's a lot has to do with their strength of schedule and having Bradley Chubb back. He was hurting, I think, in week 4 or 5, and that kind of brought Von Miller's numbers down a little bit. If we have Bradley Chubb on the other side, that's just going to help with that, pressure on the QB. But I think I might be able to get a decent defense coming back around here. It's going to be the last few picks of the draft, but I kind of want to go kicker, which is kind of shocking, but Justin Tucker is still available. So I'm actually going to go with Justin Tucker here. Let's mix it up. Let's live a little and see what kind of defense falls to me here at my last pick. I'm a little higher on Denver Broncos than some other, fantasy football analysts. So let's look at the draft board. Probably a lot of kickers, a lot of defense, and some dart throws. Yep. Roethlisberger made it to the second last round. So did Daniel Jones. Huge run on kickers. So I'm kind of glad I got Justin Tucker here in the 15th round. So now we're looking at defense. Let's pull up defense on here. And, hey, they like what I have to say as well. Denver Broncos, bye week is the 8th. I like to pick a defense that's a little later in bye weeks, but 8th is okay. It's right there in the middle. So let's go ahead, Denver Broncos. And I don't know what Fantasy Pros are going to think about this one. Yep, 86. 86 out of 100. So quick recap. I had QB Drew Brees, running backs Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, Damien Harris, A.J. Dillon. Let's talk about some upside there. That's the epitome of upside. All of them are pretty valuable, I think, in fantasy. Wide receivers: A.J. Brown, T.Y. Hilton, DJ Chark, Emmanuel Sanders, Henry Rhodes, and Dede Westbrook. A lot of guys that maybe aren't like huge. Okay, let's talk about wide receiver ones. They're not maybe in that list when it comes to my top 3. But I think they're all solid wide receivers. And once again, I like to kind of pick those wide receiver 2s to round out my entire starting lineup. And I think at the minimum, those 3, A.J. Brown, T.Y. Hilton, DJ Chark, are going to be wide receivers 2 for me. And I'll take that in my starting lineup all day long. My tight end is Tyler Higbee. once again, a lot of haters out there, but it's one of those things where I mentioned before, when it comes to tight end, it's pretty interchangeable after the top three of Kelsey, Kittle, and Mark Andrews. So if I don't like what the offense is doing there in the Rams and LA, I can pick one off the waiver wire and still get pretty similar value of people that were taking other tight ends during the draft as well. So, I don't think I saw Blake Jarwin come off the board. Noah Fant did come off the board, but my guy Jack Doyle didn't. So it's kind of a toss-up. Defense, Denver Broncos kicker Justin Tucker, one of the best ones in the league, and they're going to score points. So that's what I got for this episode of the mock draft series. Standard league. I like this team. I would be super happy. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. If this is the kind of content you like, I like to do these. If I'm still wired after recording with Kyle, my co-host, the co-founder of here, the Fantasy Football Upside. So I like to do these. I want to kind of share some of my knowledge and share what I would do when it comes to draft day and how I want to build a roster. And I feel like I've proven that in my past performance in fantasy football. So go ahead, subscribe, hit that like button, hit the bell as well so you know whenever we upload one of these. But other than that, that's all I got. Thanks for sticking around with me. Let me know how I did. Let me know if you would change it up. And take a look at all of our other episodes in the description below. Hey, thanks for being part of the Upside. You can catch us on YouTube. You can also catch us on all different kind of podcast platforms. So other than that, take it easy, guys. Thanks for being part of the Upside. Have a good one. Thank you.